The camera is tight on a patch of wet, cracked concrete in a dimly lit Atlanta parking lot. The only other visual is a pair of worn-out combat boots and a crisp, white K9-unit boot, side by side. Suddenly, a sickening thud echoes. The worn boot slides violently out of frame. The crisp boot stays. We hear a ragged, choked gasp. A large, dark German Shepherd, K9 Axel, stands perfectly still, his muzzle inches from the fallen man, his gaze fixed upward. Voiceover, Officer Barrett low, tight you done old man. Get up. Inner voice, the veteran, Marvin just breathe. They took the fight out of me years ago, but they won't take the truth. Marvin, a former Army medic, lay stunned, the wet pavement cold against his cheek. He wasn't resisting. He was just trying to show his VA identification. The pain was dull, familiar. It wasn't the slam that hurt, but the casual disrespect. He focused on the shadow of K9 Axel, a massive, still presence. He saw his own hands trembling, not from fear, but from the effort to remain calm. My purpose now is silence. Let their noise break them, not me. He took one slow, deliberate breath, eyes closed, resolving not to react, not to move. Officer Barrett, young and sweating despite the rain, checked his body camera, adjusting the feed with a practiced thumb. He kicked Marvin's VA ID card a few feet away into a puddle. Marvin, still on the ground, slowly raised one hand, palm open, a universal sign of peace. He was merely waiting for a rideshare after a difficult job interview. The air conditioner in the patrol car, idling nearby, hummed a low, mechanical threat. Barrett laughed, a short, ugly sound. His partner, Officer Chun, looked away, tapping his foot against a tire, choosing indifference. The cruelty was routine. What they missed was the tiny, almost invisible red light blinking steadily on K9 Axel's harness, a specialized tactical camera unit used for dog training. Axel remained motionless, his whole posture one of quiet, disciplined observation. Marvin finally spoke, his voice dry and steady, without a trace of anger. Marvin, the incident is recorded, officer. Not just on your camera. Barrett froze mid-step. The ambient hum of the patrol car seemed to vanish. Barrett's face, moments ago smug, tightened with confusion. Recorded? He scanned the area, just him, Chun, Marvin, and the dog. He looked at K9 Axel. The dog blinked slowly. Barrett dismissed it. A dog can't record anything. But Officer Chun wasn't looking at Marvin. He was staring hard at the small, proprietary logo stitched onto Axel's vest, a logo only K9 handlers would recognize. His eyes widened. He knew that logo. He suddenly snatched his partner's arm, his previous indifference replaced by cold dread. Chun, whispering, panicked Barrett. The vest. It's this Sentinel system. Barrett scoffed, but Chun was already reaching for the radio, voice shaking. Marvin rose slowly, dusting the water from his old service jacket. He wasn't a policy author or a secret CEO, but his skill was in evidence. Marvin, I was medically discharged for my work designing and integrating the tactical recording units on K9 systems. The Sentinel system. He pointed calmly to the tiny red light on Axel's harness. It activates upon the dog's emotional stress response, fear, aggression, or confusion. It streams to a private VA audit server, not police records, if the handler fails to report an incident within 15 minutes of a sudden shock event. Axel's motionless calm? It means he didn't feel threatened by me. Barrett opened his mouth to deny it, but Chun had already backed away, pulling the patrol car keys from the ignition. The revelation of Marvin's expertise, his quiet, technical mastery, didn't require shouting. It restored the truth with cold, elegant logic. The small handful of people who had gathered across the street had been whispering, nodding along with Barrett's narrative of a disruptive vagrant. Now, the whispers died. A woman quickly put away her phone, embarrassed she hadn't recorded it herself. A younger man, who had been laughing nervously at Barrett's initial dismissal of Marvin, now stared at the ground. The bystanders shifted their weight, their faces reflecting the sudden realization that they had been silently siding with the aggressor. Officer Chun, betraying Barrett, looked Marvin directly in the eye, a silent apology in his rigid posture. Marvin simply retrieved his ID card from the puddle, wiping it gently on his trouser leg. He maintained his calm, his humility winning the silent war against Barrett's bluster. The only sound was the thud-thud of the rain, no longer aggressive, but mournful. Just then, a sleek, unmarked SUV pulled up sharply. A woman in a sharp uniform, Chief of Police, Jada Hayes, stepped out, holding a tablet. Her face was grim. Chief Hayes, voice sharp, cutting through the rain, Officer Barrett, your incident report is already being flagged. Marvin Harris, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, retired. You just assaulted the lead consultant on our new community trust and de-escalation policy with the VA. Barrett's blood drained. Marvin had been brought in to review use of force cases. He was the author of the very policy Barrett was breaking. The truth flipped the whole hierarchy. The old man was the policy's final authority. The moment felt earned, the shock a poetic justice delivered by a spreadsheet and a tiny blinking light. Barrett looked from the chief to Marvin, then finally at K9 Axel, who watched him with unreadable, silent intensity. His hand dropped slowly from his gun belt. His shoulders slumped. The starched collar of his uniform suddenly seemed too tight. His breath hitched, but no words came out. He was exposed, not by a fist fight or a revenge plot, but by his own arrogance and the irrefutable, impartial evidence of a machine he hadn't respected. The chief didn't shout. Marvin didn't smirk. The silence that fell on the parking lot became Barrett's public, irreversible punishment. His power, granted by the uniform, evaporated into the cold rain. Chief Hayes walked over to Marvin, not to console him, but to shake his hand, an act of professional respect. Chief Hayes, the footage is clean, Marvin. The audit is launched. We start with immediate retraining on the de-escalation protocol. Policy is policy. Marvin nodded and simply walked toward the waiting SUV. He didn't look back at Barrett. His symbolic act was the walk itself, a quiet, purposeful stride toward the future. As he got in, the chief pulled out a notepad, visibly making notes for the system-wide audit. The lights of the SUV cut through the remaining rain, a metaphor for clarity and systemic renewal.